Okay, practice guide. We went through problems 1 and 2 on Wednesday last week. Make sure that you're using your property sheet, this thing. You need to use that so you know what to substitute in. A lot of sines and cosines, or doing Pythagorean identities, or conjugate rule, factoring ability. That really comes down to that last number 2. I gave you a lot of hints and tips. Video was online last week, I think as early as Thursday morning, super early. So make sure that you're checking that. We talked about number 3. I started you on it. You only have like 2 more steps to do. 4 and 5 is sum and difference. I think I did number 5 for you. 6 we did in class together. There's a shortcut for those. You'll notice. 7 I think I did the first 2. You have to do tangent by yourself. Today we're going to start with number 8 and work our way down to the end. Again, if you have your practice guides, or your property sheets, this will help you out a lot on these next few. Okay? All right, here we go. Number 8. This is a double angle formula. Just because of the way that it has squares. So, if you have this property sheet, does anyone have the one with the cutouts? No, not that.
Oh, yeah. Yes, Mr. Ward. Let me.
Okay, all right. Hey, hold that other sheet up. That one. No, the other. That one. That main property sheet you're allowed to use on the test. This one you are also allowed to use on test day. That's why we made it. This one, the reason why I'm allowing you to use this one is because it's very hard to see the plus and minus signs on that. On this, it's easy. Okay? So, alright, yeah. Now, on this one in particular, this is a double angle. If you don't recognize it, it's cosine squared of an angle minus sine squared of an angle. This thing, if you look at that little handout that I was holding up with Riley's there, this thing is equal to cosine of 2 times whatever that angle is. That's what I'm going to. I want to go back to the original angle, what it should have been. So if their theta was 105, I'm going to take cosine of 2 times 105, which makes cosine of 210. And now you should be able to read off on that sheet that Holden is holding up, you should be able to read off what the cosine of 210 is immediately on that property sheet. The cosine of 210 should be a negative root 3 over 2.
You get to do the same thing to the other one?
No, that's it. That's your answer.
What?
Like, that's it. This whole mess, the whole thing, is equal to this. Because if you look at that property sheet, it's the double angle formula. So I plugged in what my angle was, it gave me 210, and then I just found the cosine.
So you
have
can't
that
do
exact problem on the test.
But you can't make it sin.
No, I won't need to. If it was a sine problem, they would have had this. They would have had 2 sine of 105, cosine of 105, because that formula on your property sheet is the double angle formula for sine. Does that make sense? That's the double angle sine formula. So then you plug the 105 in here, sine of 2 times 105, and you'd actually solve for the sine of 210. And that would be the answer. And you figure out what it is in your property sheet.
So it's just whatever's first?
Yeah, it's not whatever's first, it's whatever the formula leads you to.
And we'll find that
So
on here.
on that thing. And it's on that.
So that's under
So you're
what?
saying either or.
So we find double angle.
Yeah, it's the double angle, so it's cosine squared minus sine squared is equal to cosine. So I'm going
You
back.
know what
They're giving
that's
you
on
the
test.
left side, or the right side, I mean, and they want the left side.
Next one.
No,
They
Mr.
wanted to
Ward.
know what the left side of that formula was.
Mr. Ward, does this apply to Mr. Ward, does this apply to 9th grade in geometry?
Yes.
Okay.
Will this be as
Alright.
easy as it was right there on the test?
Yeah.
It will be that
Yep.
easy.
Very easy.
Are you sure?
Yep. Questions, comments? Perfect. Moving on. Number 9. You have to do substitutions here and actually solve. I'm trying to prove that this whole thing is equal to cotangent. Now, how am I going to do this? So hopefully this will make sense. I'm going to replace this and the bottom with the double angle formulas for cosine and sine. Now, if you don't know what those are, the cosine formula is 2 times cosine squared theta minus 1. That's the double angle formula. You can actually see it on your sheet. It's 2 cosine squared theta minus 1. On the bottom, this thing here, sine of 2 theta, that's 2 sine theta cosine theta. Because again, I'm just using the double angle formulas to substitute. And I'm going to try to prove that it's this side over here. That it's equal to the easy looking side. Now on the top, I don't need the parentheses technically because there's nothing I have to distribute through it. But what happens up there is that the ones cancel out. One's a positive, one's a negative. And what I'm left with is 2 cosine squared theta over 2 sine theta cosine theta. And what happens here is now I'm allowed to simplify by crossing certain things out. And what I'm left with is cosine theta over sine theta, which is cotangent on your property sheet.
So we always want to start with the more.
Always start with the more
side.
complicated side, do a little bit of substitution either using your double angle formulas or half angles, and you want to make it look like the other side.
Why is it easier to start on the complicated?
Because there's more things you can substitute in. That's why you always want to do that. Because on the easy side, there's really only like 1 or 2 things you can do. Like on this side, the only thing I could really do on my property sheet is like change this to sines and cosines, or change it to be like 1 over tangent. There's really not a lot I could
So
do.
that would be substantially harder.
Yeah, that would be substantially like a lot more difficult to like change the easy side into the more complicated. There's like, you'd have to think really outside the box to do something like that.
Alright.
I always start with the more complicated and just do some simple subs. Now, maybe this wasn't the right thing to substitute in. So then, if you look at the cosine double angle, there's 2 other ones. I could
Right.
substitute those in instead and just kind of work and see if it works out.
Is that the easiest way? to
This
go?
is by far the easiest one. Yep.
Always put in.
Okay. Questions?
Yes, sir.
All right. Again, it'll be something where it's going to take like 2 or 3 lines, not something overly difficult, but it's going to check your double angle or half angle formulas or power reducing. This could easily be a power reducing problem where you have to reduce something with like a bunch of squares or powers of 4s in it. Okay. All right. Let's move on. 10 half angle formula. You have to figure out the half angle, like the exact answer of this. Well, this is going to be the tangent of. I think that's what?
I know.
What is 112.5? What is that half of? It's a half of 225
220.
Yes.
divided by 2.
Yeah.
So, and now what this is, the tangent has a bunch of half angles, because they cut an angle in half to cut 225. Well, tangent has a bunch. One of them in particular is this. This is one of the half angle formulas for tangent. Those are ones you had to add on your property sheet. These are the ones that they're on the bottom over here. You can add those on, there's a bunch of them. I usually use this one, this is my go-to version. This is one that the book never shows, is this one. This one I always tell people I usually use. This is the angle that we're using in that formula,
Yeah, I thought
that's your
that was-
theta.
Plus or minus.
That's the one with the square root and all that, because there was 3 different tangent formulas. Tangent had 3 different
That's
formulas.
what I'm right now.
There's 3 different ones. You probably just use the ones in the book. There's 3 different ones.
Why did the book not show the easiest one?
It's not easy, it's just the ones that if you rearrange them. But this is one of them. Now, the 225 is going to actually go in. So cosine of 225, sine of 225. Because that's the angle that they're cutting in half. And then I'm just going to rattle off what those answers are. So if you go to your property sheet, the cosine of 225 is negative root 2 over 2. And the sine of 225 is negative root 2 over 2. And then you can simplify from there.
Is that a 2?
So,
Yeah.
2 cosine theta over 2.
We do have to simplify that far?
yeah, so on that one, like if I was going to simplify that, I would multiply everything by
Or is
2's.
it 1?
Like everything.
It's 1.
Because if I multiply everything by 2's, the 2's on the bottoms would cancel out. This will just be a 2 minus a negative root 2, and this will be a negative root 2 on the bottom. Then you could simplify by multiplying by the radical. If you at least go 1 or 2 steps, I usually give it to you. Just to, you don't have to go all the way to the final answer. It's just like, do you even know like what to do from there? Like if you multiply by 2's, what would cancel, all that good stuff.
Can you show us?
Mr. Ward, I think your phone's got reading.
Yeah, I'm gonna ignore it. 2 plus, so if I'm multiplying everything by 2's, the 2's here would cancel, the 2's here would cancel, this would be a 2. So it'd be 2 minus a root 2 over negative root 2. That would make plus up here. And then I would multiply everything by radical 2. That way it will simplify everything.
Do we have to do that step?
That would be like one that if you want one extra step, you could get to this. And it wouldn't be something I would necessarily count wrong.
Okay, good.
But if I multiply everything by root 2, this would be root 4, so that'd be 2. If I multiply that by root 2, I get negative root 4, which is negative 2. And that'd be technically your answer, which I could divide everything by 2.
That is our answer.
But yeah, that's technically the answer. That's the exact answer.
So which one are you okay with?
I'm okay, like if you got to this, I'm fine. You know, because you went one extra step to get rid of fractions.
So
one
what if I wanted to
extra
do the
step
work
on
of
the
actually take, the 2 times square root of 2 plus 2 divided by...
And you already get that wrong.
I'd probably tell you have to get rid of at least fractions. I wouldn't count it wrong, so.
Alright, so
I
I could actually cut like the decimal and whatnot, whatever that is.
Wait, so if you went to that step and you did something wrong,
I don't want
would you count it
decimals.
wrong?
Let's just put it that way. I don't want decimals on this.
What if it has to be a whole number?
So,
Can I put it down?
the whole numbers are fine.
So what if you get that one before that right, but then you go that step farther and get it wrong? Then what happens?
I'd probably count it.
So I shouldn't go that far.
You shouldn't get it wrong. I'll tell you that.
That is also
Okay.
a good option.
All right, number 11. Let's go through this one. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, let's go to number 11 here. This one is a lot like, what is that problem we did earlier? It's a lot like problem number 7, where we have to draw a triangle and then find the half angle formulas for each. Okay, this is the one where it's going to take quite a few steps. I'm going to do a majority of these for you right now. Just so you can see this, I'll probably do 2/3 of this problem. You can do the other third of it. Okay, so this is going to be in the third quadrant. Okay, here's my third quadrant. How I know it's in the third, this is the angle. I'm in between 180 and 270, so I'm in the third. Tangent means the opposite over adjacent, and these are both negatives in that quadrant. The negative signs would cancel. Then if I do the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, this turns out to be 5. This would be 16 plus 9, which would be 25, and the square root of that is 5. And the hypotenuse is always positive, so there's my triangle, and now I'm going to do the half angles. So if I go to the half angle formula for sine, this is one of the parts I have to find. This is the formula. Okay? It's 1 minus cosine theta over 2. That's your formula for the half angle. Since I'm in the third quadrant, and I'm cutting that angle in half, because I'm taking theta and I'm cutting it in half. So an angle that's in between 180 and 270, let's say it's like a 200-degree angle. What happens when you cut it in half? What angle would that be?
100.
100? You're still in the second quadrant.
Yeah, probably.
So sine is positive in that second quadrant. So you have to think about that. If I'm in the third and I cut that angle in half, I end up in the second. So sine is positive. If I was doing cosine, that angle would be, the angle would actually be negative. Like the answer would be negative because I'm in the second quadrant, cosine is negative there. So you have to think about the positive negative sine chart, and that should be on your property sheet anyway. So you have to think about what quadrant you land in, and that formula is this. This is the formula for cosine. And now what I have to do is I have to plug in my theta. Well, so my cosine of theta on this triangle is adjacent over hypotenuse. So this part here, cosine is negative 3 over 5. Cosine here
That's the whole thing?
is negative 3 over 5. That's your answers. That's the answers I want. Because you're plugging in the values, you're showing me the half angle formula. You have everything plugged in. I don't require that you simplify it. I just want to see, do you know what your formula is? Do you know what to plug into it? And do you know if it's positive or negative out front? Because of where you'd end up at. Because I'm cutting those angles, this angle in half. So you'd end up in that second quadrant. And now you have to do tangent. So
Isn't tangent the weird one though?
Tangent's the weird one. You can pick any of the 3 that you want.
Which one would you?
I picked the one that I did earlier, the 1 minus cosine
That's the
over
one you
sine.
think we should do?
That's the one I would choose.
Could you do
Is
tangent?
it the easiest then, I'm assuming?
What?
Is that the easiest one?
Yeah.
Easy.
So you have to do that third one by yourself. Okay,
Are you
moving
gonna
on.
do that right now?
How many tests are we gonna have left in the?
This
Exactly
one, we have another one,
And then another one?
And then
and
semester?
then it'd be like maybe a quiz. So maybe this one, another one. Those would be my main.
Let's skip it chapter
There's
5.
another
Is
test
it gonna
over
be
chapter
another? Is it
5,
gonna be
just
another
chapter
like
6,
5 and
so
6 together, or is it?
No.
Yes, we're gonna do chapter 5 and 6
Chapter,
again
I think
after
chapter
this.
3 is our
I'm
next
talking like
one.
maybe like 7 and 8, or if it's just gonna be a 7.
Chapter 3 is our next.
It's gonna be a
We've got
3 and a
three
4,
next?
but we're not gonna take a test over
It's-
3.
That was pretty
Four.
similar.
Don't you need to know chapter 3 to know the stuff in chapter 4?
The quiz we'll take eventually down the road. That'll be a half.
That'll be about chapter 12.
That'll be
or so.
chapter 7 and
Yeah.
chapter 11.
You're putting 7 and 11 together.
Yeah, because it's systems
What happened to
with
8, 9,
matrices.
10?
Yeah, about 8, 9, 10. Have we done any of those yet?
Okay.
Eh,
Okay.
They're not worth our time.
Okay, here we go. Okay, number 12. For solving this triangle, so here's how I like to draw number 12. I like to draw a triangle. You can label these with anything you want. I'm going to go A, B, and C. And you're going to put A, B, and C on the triangle in their respective spots. So angle A is 44. Or angle B, I should say, is 25. And little a is 12. Little a is across from capital A. So that's how you know this is little a. It's one across. You have to solve for the remaining parts of this triangle. You have to solve for all the pieces. It says in the instructions, solve the triangle. So you have to find all the missing pieces. Okay, so this problem in particular, we'll take the law of sine, because you have almost everything you need. You can find the missing angle that's here. The missing angle that I have here is taking 180 and I'm subtracting this the 69 here. So that angle would have to be what is that, a 111?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay, and it's not on scale, it's not a big deal. It doesn't have to be.
Would you like us to draw a scale for the
No,
test?
not even close.
Yes.
44,
You must get out your
25, yeah,
protractor
111.
and tools.
And then, once I have that, now I can solve for the remaining two walls that are missing. And again, what I'm looking for is I'm looking for your triangle that's clearly labeled. You're putting all the numbers on your triangle, and off to the side you have the simple work that you have to do. Like for me, I'm going to go after side B first.
Where is the law of sine found on the property?
It's on the side of the big circle. It's down in the corner.
Will it be on the board during the test?
No, because it's on your property sheet. So,
Well, I mean, like, lots of
sine
properties.
of angle B over its opposite wall. Sine of angle A,
The law of tangent.
sine of angle A
Where's mole weeds formed?
over its opposite wall. And then you cross, multiply, and divide. So you start above or below, yeah, fish method. Cross, multiply, and divide, and you'll figure out your B. Now, if I actually take this and I take sine of 25 times 12, and I close the parentheses, and then I divide that by the sine of 44, because I'm actually cross, multiplying, and dividing, I get 7.3.
Good, that's enough.
Okay, and again, there's a ton of decimals. Just go 2 decimal places. That's all it asks for. 7.3. That would be this wall right here. And now I can find the other missing wall. Okay, and now you can do.
What does that have to cosine?
So I'll do the law of sine again. Question?
Wait, does it work when you use an angle 111
No.
still?
What?
I think we should do something different.
so-
I think we should do something.
So now on this one, if I'm finding the wall that's opposite
Should be the
the
biggest.
letter C, I'll use the 111
Can you try
instead.
cosine so it's a little different?
So, law of cosine?
Yeah, just
Yeah,
a
well
little
that's the later problems coming up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, is there any questions on number 12? Now I didn't finish that side C, you can figure that out by
Wait,
just
what?
typing it
I
in.
get a weird number.
But this we have to do to figure out C. It's going to be the biggest wall. It's got to be bigger than 7.3. It's got to be bigger than 12, but it can't be more than 19.3.
16.25.
So yeah, it makes sense. 16 and 3. Because
No idea.
the other two walls cannot add to be more than
Does
this
that make
wall.
sense?
Or these two have to be adding up more than the other wall. So this wall can't be 19.
Okay, I got it.
Okay.
Is it 16?
Okay. All right. Let's move on. Again, you should be having the triangle, labeling all the parts, showing the work off to the side. It should be pretty easy. You'll need a calculator, especially one of mine if you don't. Or you need to know how to
Can you
use
use the
numbers.
Casio on this?
Okay, you can use that.
Does the Casio
Okay.
compute numbers?
Now,
It did.
the next problem. This problem in particular, the drawing is already provided for you. You just have to find the one missing piece they want. So like on this problem, they want you to find the length of A to B. This wall right here. That's a law of sine problem. You don't have to go too
I
many
thought we had
steps.
to do law of cosine on those kind of
No,
problems.
that's the next problem.
Oh.
And then divide by
Wait,
7.
Mr. Ward.
Okay, so you have to find the one missing piece on that picture.
Do we
The
have
picture will be drawn for you. You just have to find the one part I'm looking
How
for.
do you know which one they want you to
Will it be
do?
drawn to
They
scale?
say find the distance from A to B. It's in the paragraph.
Oh, okay.
They have to read that. Okay, and you should have enough information to actually find it. Okay? Alright, let's go to 14 and
We're
15.
skipping 13?
I'm skipping 13. You can do it by yourself.
Like 10 questions.
Okay,
Oh,
14.
What time is the voting today?
Okay, I don't know. We're gonna finish here. Alright,
That is not.
so on this one, I'm gonna redraw my triangle again. Redrawing my triangle again, putting the A, B, and C in the same spots because I don't really care to draw up the scale. The A is a 5, the B is a 7, C is a 42. I need to find the rest of the pieces. So to do this, I'm going to go after this wall first. This problem, number 14 and 15, you have to do the law of cosine.
Okay.
So on this one, the side that you're trying to find squared is equal to the other two squared added together, so it kind of looks like Pythagorean theorem, minus 2 times the two walls cosine the angle in between them, which is 42. That is the law of cosine.
Wait, is this like the AS or the?
Yep, a squared
this is the weird
equals.
one.
Wait, but is this It's the S, is the SAS posh?
Yeah, this is the SAS one.
Well, no, where is it on the posh? The
SAS
sheet?
per se.
The cheat sheet?
Those are on the same side of the big unit circle. They have the law of cosine sitting down in the corner.
Okay.
Pat,
It's on
allow me to
Okay?
re-introduce
Alright, now, typing this in,
right here.
7 squared, 5 squared, all that good stuff. You can type these in one at a time. Plus 5 squared minus 2 times 5 times 7 times the cosine of the angle between them. And this number I'm getting, here, so x squared is equal to, now I typed this all in, and I got 21.97, but then I still have to take the square root of it. So the square root of that number, because I have to take this power 2 to the other side, the square root of 21.97, 21.979862, it's about 4.69 in that range. And I want a couple decimal places there. 86. Alright, I want a couple decimal places to get this. So this x is 4.6, and that should make sense. This is probably the smallest angle of that triangle. So getting to 4.6 makes sense.
Did you say you got like 22? Oh, yeah, 20.
21.
22.
Mine's on a little
Let's find the
different.
little.
Then you have to go after the other angles. Now you're going to have to do the law of sine for the next part. The law of sine, I'm going to go after angle A now. And so the rest of the problem, you can do the law of sine, because I can go sine of angle A over its opposite wall, sine of angle C over its opposite wall, and then you can solve from there. And you'll have to take the inverse sine and figure out A, all the good stuff.
Oh, Mr. Ward.
So what is that going to come out to?
What?
What is that going to come out to?
I don't know. This is probably going to be really close to 42. I'd almost expect 43 degrees.
So like
possibly.
maybe 42.7.
So the
Where do you start?
So
You start
what is that?
at
5
top
times
left
the
or
sine
right?
of 42 divided by 4.69, and then we have to take the inverse sine of that.
Yeah.
0.7133588. Oh, 45 actually, 46.
Ooh,
a little bit more than I was
You got
expecting.
40
off there.
Did you get 45.51 or whatever?
5, yeah. A little more than I was expecting. I was expecting more like 43.
Ooh.
Just because the walls are really close together, but I guess it was a little bit bigger than expected. And then you can find out the missing piece here.
How do we do that?
Well, triangles have to be 180.
That is good math, Mr. Ward.
Wait, how precise do you want? Oh,
2 decimal places. No more than that.
Will we have it wrong if we go more than 2?
No.
So it is acceptable to go
you have to be on the ballpark.
5 decimal places.
So, alright, now, 15 you're going to have to do on your own.
Mine.
They have all the numbers provided. You just have to find one of the walls using the law of
You do
cosine.
92.5 on that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's your entire practice guide. You have to do 13 and 15 by yourself. I'm not going to do
Oh,
those.
there's something for the first day too. Which one's
You have to go back over. The videos from the first day are online. I will post today's video probably by the end of the day, so you can watch it all night. I'll try to get it up by 4 o'clock today, so you can kind of watch it if you need
Wait, are you
to.
saying we had a test?
Test tomorrow, Friday.
Ooh, that is not good.
Make sure that you have your property sheets, these things. These are fair game for the test, and that big property sheet, that thing. You can use both.
Test Friday?
I have a question.
Test tomorrow and Friday if you need to.
What if the other class doesn't get through the review?
They will.
What if they don't?
If they don't, is it fair that we
Mr.
would
Ward,
have to
I'm
take it?
freaking out.
They-
I don't know this stuff.
But what if they don't?
Mr. Ward, what?